This is Decarbonize the World with Frank Deline, solving the climate crisis while increasing profits in your business. Here's Frank.
Welcome back to Decarbonize the World, the podcast that explores the most innovative and impactful solutions to the climate crisis. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to a company that is transforming the chemical industry with renewable and sustainable practices. Trillium Renewable Chemicals is a Knoxville-based company that is on a mission to produce high-quality chemicals from waste biomass instead of fossil fuels. To tell us more about their technology vision and impact, I'm joined by Corey Tyree, the president and CEO of Trillium. Corey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Frank. Glad to be here.
What inspired the creation of Trillium to pursue sustainable chemical manufacturing?
So this technology development, Frank, started in 2014 and was funded by the Department of Energy. And the original motivation was to create domestic supply of the precursor to make carbon fiber, which is useful in a range of industries, aerospace, automotive, and the defense industry. So this was a U.S. government-funded initiative. And that technology development proceeded. It was successful. And over a 5 or 6 year period, the research institute that developed the technology scaled it up. And then it was time to commercialize. Like a lot of research institutions and universities, there's a real struggle to get the technology out and sort of make it viable in the real world. And so the motivation there was how to do that and how to sort of take the science that had been successful and build a real chemical plant. And so the model that we used was to create a company, which became Trillium. And Trillium licensed the technology and was a vehicle to attract venture funding. So Trillium formed with the sole purpose of commercializing that new chemical process technology.
Can you explain the technology behind Trillium's production process and how it differs from traditional chemical manufacturing methods?
Yeah, I would say there's two basic ways to produce chemicals. One is sort of the traditional, what we call thermochemical, where you use heat and energy to transform a raw material into a desirable product. And you use operations like reactors and distillation columns. So if any of the listeners have driven by a refinery or a chemical plant, they've seen tall columns. Those are reactor or distillation columns. That's sort of the traditional method. The second method is using biology, for example, fermentation, where you produce the products instead of in a reactor, you produce them in a fermenter, and then you purify the products from that reactor. Those are the two basic options. Trillium actually is using the traditional method. We'll use traditional chemical plant operations, but the difference is we use a plant-based raw material and convert that plant-based raw material into the same chemical that's being made today from a barrel of oil or natural gas.
Excellent. What challenges have you faced in bringing your sustainable chemicals to market?
One of the challenges always is this is hard tech. There's a lot of definitions of what that is, but to me, what it means is to generate revenue, Frank, you've got to build a plant, right? So if you think about us compared to, say, more of an IT company, the IT company raises money, and that money goes directly into producing a product that can produce revenue. For example, an app. And you compare that to what we do. You give Trillium money, and what do we go do? We don't generate revenue yet. We go build pilot plants, demonstration plants. Those plants produce no revenue. And why is that a challenge? Because it takes a long time to do this. The development cycle for these kinds of technologies is longer than is tolerable by traditional venture investment. So I think the number one challenge in this industry, and it's not just particular for Trillium, is the long development cycle.
And is this the reason that it's funded through the DOE for this specific reason?
Actually, we've been successful. We've been able to navigate that challenge. Trillium has raised $16 million in its first 18 months, and that we've been successful, I think, tells you a lot about the interest we have from customers. That's where we're particularly strong. There is market demand for our product. We are partially funded by the Department of Energy. We have $2.5 million from them to help us build a demonstration plant. And I think, why did we get that funding? I think the Department of Energy sees it as part of their role to support startups like Trillium who are trying to navigate what we like to call the valley of death. That valley where you're pouring money into early stage developments that are not generating revenue. So I think this is squarely in um, fits the profile of companies and projects that they like to support. But we do have funding from traditional venture and corporate investors.
How do Trillium's renewable feedstock compare in cost to traditional petroleum-based feedstocks?
Favorably, that's one area where we're strong, and that's really helping us. We use our feedstock would be glycerin, and glycerin is a commodity feedstock, meaning that it's widely available. And the current feedstock to make the chemical is propylene. And depending on where you're at in the world, glycerin can be 2 to 3 times cheaper than propylene. So the on the raw
Hmm.
material side, our feedstock's actually cheaper.
Which industries have shown the most interest in Trillium's sustainable chemicals?
Yeah, so one of the advantages I would say for Trillium is that we're making what's called a drop-in chemical. This is not a new chemical. The chemical is called acrylonitrile. I know it sounds obscure, but it's one of the 20 biggest chemical markets in the world. So there are buyers all over the world today. This product's been have has been produced for 50 years now. And one
Hmm.
advantage of making a drop in is we have a list of literally every buyer in the world. We have their specification. We know how much they buy. We know how much they store. Um, and so by making a drop in, we fit right into an existing supply chain. And that
Okay.
advantage cannot be ignored, right? It's a big advantage for us.
Right. It's not like you have to develop a whole industry from scratch.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. We don't have to build the whole supply chain. That's right.
right. Exactly. That's the best way to say it. Actually, can you discuss any specific products that Trillium sustainable chemicals have been used in?
Yeah, so we're pre-commercial right now, but I'll tell you a little bit about where this could go. This product, acrylonitrile, is a chemical intermediate, so it's not used directly as a product. It's used
Hmm.
as a precursor to make a wide range of really interesting products, and I'll name a couple that your listeners will be familiar with. Acrylonitrile is the only raw material used to make carbon fibers. So carbon fiber bikes,
Right.
golf clubs, automotive parts, aerospace parts, that all is derived from acrylonitrile. If your users have ever used medical gloves, the blue gloves or the black gloves, those are made from nitrile butadiene rubber. It's a
Right.
superior material. When you slip that glove on, it doesn't tear like some of the cheaper alternatives. And
Hmm.
acrylonitrile is a key component. ABS plastic. The A in ABS is acrylonitrile. ABS is used to make Lego bricks.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's used in a lot of really interesting products. So,
Right.
which one of those products is made from the green acrylonitrile that Trillium makes is a decision that hasn't been made yet, but I would say we have interest from all the different segments.
How does Trillium ensure the quality and consistency of its sustainable chemicals?
That's a key point. So one of the things that we're doing now is as we produce product from our pilot plant and as we design our market demonstration plant, which will be larger, one of the key purposes of this is to do what we call sample customers. So we provide them a sample of the product. They then analyze it and compare it to their specification for the product to show that it
Hmm.
meets their specification. That's nice. That's part of it. What really matters is taking our product and then them making their product, the carbon fiber, the nitrile butadiene rubber gloves, the Lego brick. And when that end product shows performance equivalency with the product being made today from the fossil based product, that will tell us that the product works for our customers.
So the fact that the feedstock is cheaper than the traditional petroleum, like we were talking about earlier, does this make the chemical more competitive in the market?
Yeah, so you've got aspects of our cost that are in our favor, and then you also have aspects that do hurt us. We should acknowledge that. There is no intention and that Trillium is going to bring a product to market that's cheaper than the incumbent's product.
Okay.
Um, But now we think we are at cost parity with the incumbent's product. It's worth noting here that the folks that produce this product today are no slouches, right? They have an excellent process. They have 50 years of experience, and their process is a very good one in terms of from an economic perspective. But we think we can compete with them on cost.
Okay, well, hang on, Corey. We have to stop here. But coming up in the second part of my talk with Corey Tyree, the president and CEO of Trillium Renewable Chemicals, Corey shares his thoughts on the future of sustainable manufacturing in the chemical industry.
I wish there was a silver bullet, Frank, but I think we're going to see a wide range of solutions deployed to achieve the carbon commitments.
This has been Decarbonize the World with Frank Deline. To connect with Frank and to learn more about clean energy, reducing fossil fuels, and increasing profits, go to frankdeline.com. Decarbonize the World is a production of Advantage Audio.